All right, so for this week, I thought I'd actually code a program, not an assignment, but just to give you an example of what it looks like, for someone like me to actually design a program, especially now that we have all these cool tricks up our sleeve, right? We have conditionals, we learned all the operators, we learned how to use scanner as well, right? We can make all kinds of programs now, right? And actually handle user input. Of course, it's not going to be a fancy, interface. We're just using the console here, but it still works. We're going to write a program for pets that calculates their age in human years. So I am going to be taking user input. So I'm going to use the scanner class. I could type out the import, but if you start typing in scanner, it'll actually suggest it from IntelliJ. I hit enter and then it actually does the import for me. So I'm gonna call it scanner user input equals, remember it's new scanner, and then use system.in. That's the argument you need to take a keyboard input. So I always got to do that. I also want to close it at the end, so I'm just gonna do that now and then put all my code in between. Okay, so now we're ready to go. We're ready to write some code. Scanner is always a good place to start. So write a program for pets that calculates their age in human years. We're gonna need a variable, right, to hold this information. So really seems like just the age, right, of the pet. So I haven't actually done this code. I'm literally thinking it through live in this video, just to see how I might think through this kind of problem. So I'm working with the age. I'm gonna do some multiplication with the age, obviously. So I need an age variable. So I'm gonna go with int age is equal to, well, I don't actually know it's going to start off. I could start it off as 0. I can initialize it, but I'm actually going to give that, I'm going to give that to the user to do. So let's see. So we got int age. I don't think I need any variables just yet. I think that should work for now. I'm going to add a little bit of an extra feature. I'm going to write a message, write a special message for very old dogs. I have a really old dog at home, so this program is for her. Let's see. So int age. All right, so I'm gonna need to use the scanner to actually populate that age variable. So I'm gonna do user input. But before I do that, actually, I should actually ask, right? I gotta ask the user for some information. So I'm gonna do system.out.println. Uh, Please enter your dog's age. I always like to put a little space. I always go with ln just because I like to see the input on the next line. Don't have to do that. Just a personal preference. You go with the regular print. Let's see. So now I could do user input, and then we're gonna do dot next line is the preferred one. I could do next int. I could definitely go with that. But then sometimes there's like problems, right? So I'm gonna do age is equal to user input dot next line. Now, of course, that's gonna give me an error. Now, why is that? That's because next line is a string, right? So the return type for next line is a string. Even if the user types in a number, the way that Java is reading it, the way that the scanner class is reading it, is as a string. There is a way to parse this. I could definitely do casting, but string isn't a primitive type. So I'm gonna use a special class called the integer class. I'm gonna do parse int. So it's a special method. Now this looks really complicated, right? Especially for us beginners. So I'm actually gonna do a little bit of variables here to kind of simplify the process. String um, age input by user. So the age input by the user is read as a string. So I'm gonna turn age input by user into an integer using this method. It's from the integer class. This is from java.lang, so I don't have to do a special import. It's already automatically imported. There are other ways to turn strings into ints. I'm too lazy to look them up right now, so We'll just go with this one because it works. Definitely invite you to explore other methods. All right, so now age does work out. Now of course I could keep coding, right? But really, as a programmer, my best friend is print messages. I like to test out my code. So I'm gonna do age and then plus age. I'm gonna run it just to make sure that this is working as intended. It says, please enter your dog's age. So my dog is 15 years old. So printed out the age is 15. It took it as an int, which is good news. Remember, the print message with concatenation automatically parses or casts your integers as a string, so I don't have to do any special casting here, right? Concatenation is implicit casting. Anyways, too many vocab words thrown at you, right? Doesn't matter. My age worked out. That's kind of why I printed this out. So I'm gonna comment this out for now. By the way, on any line, if you do control forward slash, it'll automatically comment it. It's like that. So yeah, there you go. So control forward slash automatically comments that line. All right, so let's see. So I got the age. Now I need to do it in dog years. Now I've heard of different numbers in the past. But in general, they say that one dog year is 7 human years. Or am I saying that the reverse? Yeah, one dog year is 7 human years. So I'm gonna say int dog to human. We could call it multiplier equals 7. I'm gonna also make that a variable. Make make things variables because let's say suddenly my program I got an expert and they're like, oh, the actual dog to human multiplier is 12. Now I'd have to go and find every single time I typed in a 7 in my code, which could be thousands of times, depending on how complex my program is, and then replace it with 12. Now, if I use a variable, all I have to do is change this to 12, and then all the other instances or references, I should say references to dog to human multiplier, will all be pointing to this 12. So I change one line, and all 1,000 times that I called dog to human multiplier or reference dog to human multiplier will all change. So this is why we use variables, because you write once, it's really easy to make changes when you have that variable. All right, so we're gonna go with 7 though as our dog to human multiplier. So we're gonna say system.out.println your dog's age in human years. Let me move my mouse. Is space. I guess I could put a colon. I like to use my colons. And then we're gonna do. So I actually haven't calculated it yet, so I could probably do that here. I'm gonna do int human age. Or I'm gonna do age in human years equals age variable times dog to human multiplier. So it's going to be whatever I type in as a user times 7. And if I wanted to be, different multiplier, easy to change, right? I would just have to change line 12 to a different value. All right, so let's see. So now I'm going to actually print it out. So I'm going to do age in human years. And let's test it out. So enter your dog. So I'm going to do 15 is 105. Yeah, I actually calculated that the other day. Somebody asked me that question. Oh, isn't that like over 100 in human years? I was like, yep, it's 105. Now I have a program that could do it for me. All right, so let's see. I did want to print a special message though for very old dogs. So let's say, um, let's look up human life expectancy in the U.S. Let's see. Human life expectancy. I'm doing it on another screen. Let's do USA. It's 77.43 years. Let's round up. So we're going to say int Actually, I'm gonna put these at the top. A lot of times I like to put these variables that I use. And in fact, this should probably be a constant, right? Dog to human multiplier. Now it's gonna give me an error. There is a better way to rename your variables. You could do rename right there. And then it'll automatically replace any other references with the new name. You hit enter and all done. So yeah, that's gonna be a const, so I'm gonna do final in front because it's a constant value. That one's usually not gonna change. When I say not change, the code won't change it, right? I, as a programmer, before I run the program, could set this to a different value. But once the program runs, this value will always stay the same. All right, so let's see. The same is not true for age, by the way, because it starts off as no value, and then the user is the one that defines it. All right, so let's see. Where were we? We're doing. Oh yeah, life expectancy. So we're gonna do int average, or yeah, we'll say human life expectancy equals, and again, this should also be a constant. So human life expectancy. Why am I capitalizing? Well, remember from the slides, constants are always capitalized when you write out their names. And then we use the little snake casing or the underscore to separate the word tokens. So we said 78, we rounded up. So I'm gonna write a little if statement. If the age in human years, I can't compare the dog age because I'm using human life expectancy, is greater than, let's just go with greater than, not greater than or equal to. Do I want to include 78? Yeah, we'll include it. So human life expectancy. We're going to print out a message. We're going to say system. I forgot my space. System.out.print ln. I'm hitting the tab key, by the way, whenever it suggests the code for me. It's always going to suggest the most useful one and the one that closely matches what I'm typing. I'm going to say, wow, your dog is really old. And then I'm going to put an else because I like to handle all situations, right? I'm going to say system.out.println. Wow, your dog is still young. And there you go. Yeah, so that looks good. I don't even need this anymore. I don't have to test it out. All right, so I'm gonna hit run. Let's see how this works. So please enter your dog's age. Let's go with 15. Your dog's age in human years is 105. Wow, your dog is really old. Yeah, everything works just great. Yeah. I could test out a different value. Always good idea to test your if else conditions. Let's see. Let's say my dog's really young. Let's say they're only 2 years old. Or my sister's dog is, I think, like 3 years old. Yeah, we'll go with three. So three, your dog's age in human years is 21, which is definitely less than our human life expectancy of 78. If you hover over it, it actually will tell you the value, 78. It's 21, way less, way smaller than 78. So while your dog is still young. If I wanted to handle an extra condition, I could throw an else if. And then we could do age in human years. And let's say there's like a, I don't know, like a teenage dog. So let's say greater than equal. And let's go with human life expectancy divided by 2. So like half of 78 is 39. So we have our else if here. Always, you should put a space. So let's see. We're gonna put system. I'm gonna copy because I'm feeling lazy. Copy, paste. So let's say they're not super old. Then it's gonna go to the next check. Wow, your dog is pretty old. So they're not like super old, but they're, past that. We'll say getting older. So yeah, this is now handling multiple conditions, and I can add, as many as I want. I could add 20 else ifs if I want. So let's go with one that's gonna probably hit that halfway point. I would say 10, because 10 times 7 is 70, so it's in between the two conditions. Yep, while your dog is getting older. So this would be 39, this would be 78. So it's not bigger than 78, but it is bigger than 39. So yeah, your dog is getting old. Yeah, so that's how you'd use, user input, you handle conditionals. You can certainly chain them along. Let's say I ask the user for something else. Let's say, let's say, let's go with something funny. Let's go with string, or no, let's go with Boolean is beautiful. And I'm actually gonna ask the user to tell me if their dog is beautiful. Please enter your dogs. So I'm gonna say, is your dog cute? And usually, when we're handling like yes no situations, you can go with like parentheses right there. Yes no. It tells the user type in a Y or an N. So Y or N, that's a char, right? But really because we're using next line, it's gonna be read as a string. So we're gonna say beauty is beautiful. User input. And then we're gonna get our variable, which was is beautiful. Now we have a problem, right? So age. Oh well, I gotta first change this. Oops, I should not have deleted it. We have a problem here. So is beautiful user input. I capitalized the second S there, or the second letter. Is a string. So I can't assign it to a boolean, right? So I'm gonna have to do some parsing. It actually gives me the suggestion here. Boolean class, parse Boolean. It'll turn it into a true or a false. Uh, oh, I forgot though. They're not typing in true or false, right? They're typing in yes or no. So I can't actually parse it there. So I'm gonna have to do something else here. So I'm gonna have to do a conditional again. So if is beautiful user input, so they're gonna say yes or no, right? Type in a Y or N. We're gonna say contains. We're gonna say, hey, did whatever they type in contain a Y? We're gonna go with Y here. If it contains Y, we're gonna go with is beautiful equal to true. Else, and notice I'm not using blocks, I'm using the one-liners. That's totally fine when you're just executing one statement. You could use the block though method. People tend to say it's more readable. So we're gonna say else is beautiful equal to false. And then forgot my space. All right, looking good, looking good. What's it complaining about? Oh, okay, I could simplify it. There you go. IntelliJ, super smart. So rather than, doing an if else statement, I could say is beautiful is going to be equal to the output, to the return of the contains. Why? Because contains is going to return true or false. So if it contains a Y, is beautiful will be true. If it doesn't contain a Y, it'll be false. So let's try it out. We're gonna put an extra message down here. If is beautiful, system.out.println, and your dog is cute. Otherwise, we do println. year, and your dog is UGLY. All right. So that's using the is beautiful. Let's test it out. So enter your dog's age, 15. Is your dog cute? But yes. What? It said my dog is ugly, even though I put yes for cute. Something's going on here. So what would I do to debug this, for example? Well, a good idea is to print out your is beautiful variable. So we're gonna do system, or I'll do it next to the contains because that's where we assign a value. We're gonna do system.out.println. I do the name of the variable usually, and then I do plus. We're gonna do the is beautiful. Whoops, beautiful. All right, let's test it out. So I typed in an uppercase Y, so do 15 and then Y. It says is beautiful is false, so something's going on here. So the Y I typed in is somehow triggering a false here. That's because of case sensitivity. Java's looking for a lowercase y, not an uppercase y. So I could certainly change this to a lowercase y. I could go y n. That's totally valid. Or I could do this, just to avoid the issue of like, does the user type in uppercase? Do they type in lowercase? I could transform is beautiful user input to lowercase. So this right here is going to turn is beautiful user input to lowercase, and then it's going to check does it contain y. So I'm chaining along these methods because each method returns a string. This is a string. This returns a string. So this is going to do the last method is going to do on the output of this string right here. I could certainly break it up into smaller pieces. I could put string lowercase input equals, and then do lowercase input contains y. So yeah, whether they do lowercase or uppercase, I'm always going to turn it to lowercase. That's going to avoid issues, right? That's called like handling different cases, right? For the user input, you have to consider all cases. All right, so let's see. Let's see if this works. So this is definitely a little bit more readable, right, than chaining them along. Totally up to you. So let's do 15. Let's do uppercase, and your dog is cute. Let's try lowercase, and your dog is cute. Let's try uppercase N. Let's do, and then let's try like a random letter. Let's say I messed up and typed in like, I don't know, a T. What's gonna say dog is ugly because T does not contain Y. Yep. You could definitely handle, you know, invalid user input. That's called input validation, where you say, hey, I told you yes or no. If you type anything outside those parameters, I'm gonna send you a message. So you could have like if lowercase input contains y. Now I don't want to check if it contains y. I want to check if it doesn't contain y. So I'm gonna say not, and then we'll do or not lowercase input dot contains n. So if it doesn't have two of those options that I told the user, I said, hey, you can only type in y or n. That's the only ones I'm gonna handle. Then you can have a little like helpful message, invalid user input. Type in only a y or n character. Yep. So that's called, this is input validation, right? We're definitely going to do that once we get to loops, because right now this will only validate once. If you actually want to, you know, perpetually check if they put in the right input, you're going to have to use a special structure called loops. But yeah, this is writing a program from scratch using conditionals, using data and variables, using some of the standard library methods. This is from the string library. I think I used another one too. Oh yeah, I used the integer, or I should say string class, not library. I used the integer class from the java.lang package, and then called its parse int method. I used the scanner class from the java.util package, and then I used its method right here. What was next line? Next line right here. That's a method from the scanner class. Yeah, so all the things we've been learning, put it together, we get this funny little program. Let me get rid of this one. And let's run it one more time. 15. Yes. There you go. Type in only a. Oh, whoa. My user validation isn't working. Because I did type in a Y. Oh, it should be an and. Common mistake. Um, yeah. If your logic doesn't work out, right? So I didn't get any compilation errors, but I got a logical error, right? I typed in a Y and it said invalid user input. That's because I was supposed to use the and operator, not the or. Let's try it out one more time. 15. Yes. This one works. Let's try a no. 15. No. This one works. Let's trigger an invalid user input. Let's put a Z. Invalid user input. So there we go. Yeah, common mistake. See, even I can make them. But yeah, that's it for this code. Everything works fine now. We'll definitely be doing more input validation in the future. But for now, we're just having our code, make some simple decisions. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out.